Well, thank you so much for introducing us, Ashley. And we're excited to be with y'all today. This is really the first time we're bringing the Present Professional podcast in front of a live audience. Now, maybe next time we bring, the studio mics in and everything, we'll do kind of a live studio audience interaction here. But we figured for the first time, let's introduce one of the topics that are core to the reason we started this podcast, that are core to the reason why both of us met and started our work together 6-7 years ago. Yeah, something like that. And that's core to, the way that we go about our lives. So mindfulness in your career. Now, mindfulness is really core to a lot of the things that we do, but we want to focus in here to the way that it improves both your personal and professional level, and double down.
So again, Press Professional podcast is really everything that John just said. Mindfulness is really the foundation of the reason why we do what we do. John and I met back in 2015, 2016. During that time, I founded a nonprofit organization and we had a talk on, it was a event that we saw an Eventbrite, and that's how John found it, because it was called the Millennial Think Tank. So John saw this event, signed up for it, came to the think tank. It was similar to a crowd like this. We were talking about how we wanted to change our community, and John was all for it. He came to one event, next thing you know, he's on the board. So that's kind of how our relationship started, but it started with purpose, presence, and mindfulness. So we'll jump into it. You can go to the agenda, and what you'll see is a jam-packed agenda. We're gonna try to fly through this as much as we can, but again, you can always check out the podcast, the Present Professional podcast, on all platforms. You can literally download it right now. And we'll be talking about these same kind of subjects. But for today, we're going to take you through a self-reflection exercise, how we're going to start it off. From there, we're going to go into some of the science of mindfulness. We'll take you through an awareness meditation. We'll talk about career roadmap and how you can go from one place to another and how you can have a vision, but then you might need a little bit of presence in there to kind of help you shape where you really want to get to. We're going to take through a visualization exercise, and then we're going to close with a final self-reflection exercise and then a Q&A. So it sounds like a lot, but we're going to make it as fun as possible. And I'm going to just basically start off with one question. And Ashley, you can go to the next slide. Oh, you got the slide? Are we good? We can do that now?
Oh, maybe not. I think you may have clicked on the Zoom.
So the first question, and you can write this down if you have a notebook or if you're online. First question of the day is, how do you want to feel in your career every day? How do you want to feel in your career every day? And that question is not just for you starting your career. You could have already started that career, or you could be visualizing what the future looks like. But the word in there that I want you to really take some time and think about it as you're writing this out and you're thinking about your answer is the word feel. It's not just where do you want to go and where do you want to end up and how much money you want to make and all that. It's how do you want to feel in your career every day. So take some time, think about that, and we'll pop back up in a second.
Yeah, just take 30 seconds here and think about, again, doubling down on that word. How do I want to feel daily? And
think of one word when you answer that question. So as you're thinking about the answer, you can use multiple one words, but think of one word at a time, how you want to feel in your career.
All right. Now, look, they already started the chat. We have to say anything.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I want to feel appreciated. I respect that.
Anyone else from the room want to share your one word?
Money is not a feeling, but I feel you. Or is it?
Go ahead. Open.
Productive.
Productive.
Purposeful, successful.
Useful.
Accomplished.
Fulfilled.
Happy.
Filled.
Happiness.
Happy.
Unburdened.
Success.
Unburdened.
Okay.
That's important.
Love it.
Stable.
What was that?
Stable.
Stable.
We got
Confident.
confident, successful, purposeful.
Hmm.
How about you?
Good. Good things coming in.
Satisfied?
Good things coming in from online.
Yeah.
Now, the reason we talk about feeling is like that's something that you can start bringing into your life now. What are some of the things that you can do today that help you feel successful, motivated, confident? It's like that, bringing that feeling on starts to bring all of those things into your field. So it's noticing where you want to be, but really it's how you want to feel. Now, how can I help myself feel like that today? And in order to do that, you have to be mindful and aware. So that's stepping into our next topic here is, mindfulness. It's a word that's thrown around a lot these days, especially in professional settings and things like that. Be more mindful. What does that really mean? Now, when you see these two images here, we're just going to go one word again. And so when you see the bubble on the left, what's one word that comes up for you? You can say it in the chat or in the room.
Chaos. Stress.
Stress, chaos. Anything else?
Overwhelmed,
Overwhelmed,
confused.
confused. Anything in the chat?
Chaotic.
Chaotic. All right. Okay. Anxiety, anxious.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So a lot coming at you. And the one thing about the image on the left is like there's no filter. Everything is just happening.
Mhm.
This is where life is happening to you. And you're not seeing where you want to be or how you want to manage it going forward. What's the action that you want to take from there? And you need to be able to pause to see that. Now, the image on the right, one word. What do you see?
Working.
Working from home, okay.
Order.
Order. Relaxed, organized, okay, peaceful, comfortable. Anything else in the room? Now, one thing that I want to kind of debunk about the picture on the right is like mindfulness is different from meditation. So mindfulness is the quality of your awareness. So your awareness of this moment of what's happening in your life can either be mindless, like this, or mindful, where you're able to see what's coming at you, what's happening in the moment, right? Now, meditation can look like many different things. But meditation can look like mindfully showering, mindfully walking down the street, mindfully eating. Like that is a meditative exercise rather than just sitting in a lotus Zen position, on the top of the mountains. Like that doesn't have to be what your meditation practice looks like. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple slides here. Now, to get into the science of mindfulness, to keep this brief, we talked a little bit about what mindfulness is already, the quality of your awareness. So mindful is an adjective to describe your awareness, right? Now, why this matters in your brain. So we're going to leave the neurological terms aside. So your automatic brain is going to be close to your brainstem. Like that's the thing that is survival oriented. There's a tiger, run. Peanut butter and like things that you don't think about. It's automatically occurring. Now, your executive brain, or the way that you choose to move through your life, like this is your conscious reasoning part of your brain, the one that developed a little later, the one that is actually not fully developed until the age of like mid-20s, so 24 to 26. So why, you hear teenagers acting irrational? Well, it's actually scientific. Like they should still be somewhat irrational, right? So the reason why this is important, we're talking about mindfulness and your career. So you can choose to move through your career automatically. This is allowing life to happen to you where you're in a state of reaction, which is somewhat like the picture that was on the left, and you're reacting to what's happening to you. You're reacting to the opportunities, you're reacting to the challenges. automatically moving through your life. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes it might. Yeah. And so your executive brain, so your prefrontal cortex, the one that's developed a little later on, like this is where you can make executive decisions. Like this is where you start having that vision, where you start making decisions that are aligned with where you want to be in your career, making decisions that are aligned with how you want to feel in your career. Following? Question? Okay, good. Oh, you guys are like neuroscientists already. Okay, now, the connection between the two. So developing your executive brain doesn't mean your automatic brain goes away, right? We all have the reaction to the peanut butter and jelly, right? But it's really about the communication between the two. Now that's where meditation and mindfulness comes in. Because it requires a space between the stimulus or what happens in your life. And you have to have space there to choose how you want to respond to that. Now, without that space, you react, right? Now, what meditation does is it starts creating that space, enough time to pause and say, okay, this is the choice that I want to make. Okay? So we're gonna practice that a little bit today. All right, we're gonna do a little brief meditation exercise. So you all with me on this?
Yeah, sure.
Who has
Who's ever meditated before? Anybody's first time? Raise your hand if it's your first time ever meditating, ever in your life.
beautiful.
We got 2 people. All right, so everybody else has meditated before, right?
I didn't like it.
Raise your hand high if you've never, ever meditated, ever successfully.
Okay,
Okay, all right, half the room.
good,
Never worked for me. Perfect. I'm glad you said that. We're gonna debunk some of that today.
beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna start, we're gonna put on a little, just little background, peaceful meditation music.
I'm gonna find the seats.
Yeah.
I don't wanna fall.
Yeah. Take a seat. Now, another thing. You wanna keep your eyes open, you can, but keep your gaze fixed to one point. So not allowing it to move all around the room to find anything. And if you feel comfortable doing so, then close your eyes. Now, wherever you are in your breath, let everything out. Now take a deep breath in through your nose, inhale. Slight pause. And then open your mouth. Sigh out. A deep breath in. Long breath out. One more deep breath in. Long breath out. And start to bring ease to your breath. Just a natural rhythm in and out through your nose. And then all you're to do is to focus your attention on the subtle sensations of your breathing. So a slight coolness around the edge of your nose on your breath in. A gentle warming sensation on the edge of your nose or your upper lip on your breath out. The gentle movement of your belly. The touch of the cloth of your shirt, of your skin. The connection of your sit bones to your chair. Your feet on the floor. You notice anytime your mind moves to the past, to the future, into judging this experience or what all this is about. You just notice that. And shift your attention back to what it feels like to breathe. If it helps, you can count your breaths. Each inhale and exhale is 1. Inhale and exhale is 2. You can continue to count up to 10. And when you get there, you simply start again. Notice if your mind goes off track or loses count. You notice that without judgment and shift back to starting at 1. Gently start to deepen your breath. Gently move your fingertips, your toes. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Go. One word. How was your experience? What did you learn, experience, discover? One word, maybe even a phrase.
Soothing.
Soothing? Okay.
Pressure.
Pressure.
Often.
Often. Relaxing. Present.
Calming.
Calming. Centered. And even there, it's a few minutes focusing on your breath. And it's, the key and my mission for meditation is taking any need to do or perform out of it. The real rep is about noticing when your mind's gone somewhere else and just bringing it back to the focus at hand. That's it. That is the practice. Even if you do for a minute a day, 5 minutes a day, working your way up to something that works for you, it is scientifically proven that it will increase that distance between stimulus and response for you. So you will be able to better manage yourself, better manage your relationships, because what happens when something where there's conflict created or discord in a relationship? It's typically off a emotional reaction, rather than being able to think about where we're at. Often the same thing goes into making career decisions, tactical decisions, the ways that you want, things that come up, you make the choice. But maybe there's a moment to pause there. And that's what this practice creates for you. Speaking of that.
All right. So we're going to take all that John has given us so far, and we're going to bring it into some more practical today readiness. So when we talk about your career roadmap, I want you to think about all the jobs you've ever had, right? Some of us have had a lot of jobs, and some of us are just getting started in our career, right? And today, this moment can be maybe even a pivotal moment for you to say, you know what? It's the first time I ever meditated. It's the first time I ever took I don't know, 5 minutes and just kind of did not think of anything. I was just breathing. And you can literally take this practice into your life going forward and help yourself make decisions, like John was saying, that are tactical, that are well thought out, and that really can shape shift your future. Now, meditation to me is a superpower, but it's not gonna change it. Like you're not gonna like start all of a sudden getting everything in your life that you ever wanted just because you started meditating, right? But it'll help you create the clarity that you need. You remember the mindful image? The way to get to that left side is literally to calm your mind down, to release the anxiety and to know that it's really gonna be okay. Like for real. You know, when I first started meditating, there was a story. I think it was Russell Simmons, if you're familiar with who he is. Russell Simmons was talking about how he meditates, and he met someone on the subway who said, I don't have 5 minutes to meditate. And he said, well, you need 30 minutes because you don't think you have 5 minutes for yourself, right? So when it comes to your career journey, the first thing I want to ask you is, have you ever heard of the phrase, the law of attraction? Kind of some nods in the room. Online audience, have you ever heard of the phrase, the law of attraction?
Yeah.
So you remember in the beginning, when we asked you, how do you want to feel in your career? Well, the law of attraction is kind of one of the first steps to that process when it comes to the feeling, how you want to feel in your career. So if you don't know how you want to feel, then you may just get handed an unknown process of where you're going to work and what that's going to feel like, right? If you have no agenda for yourself, if you have no plan, then you'll just, pretty much say, I want a job. And then that's what you will get, is a job. Anybody know the acronym for a job? Just over broke, okay? Just over broke. What you don't want is a job. What you want is a career. A career will take you places. A career will open doors. There is a difference. So when you meditate and when you have this time to create this presence and this practice for yourself, you can start to reject jobs and accept careers. There is a difference. So when I talk about the career roadmap, we got it broken down into 4 different phases, okay? Phases. So phase 1 is kind of where you could be in the beginning process of saying, hey, I've had some jobs, I'm ready for a career, right? I remember taking it back to the law of attraction. When I graduated high school, my mentor said, so what are you gonna do now? What do you want to do in your career? And the only answer I had was, I want to help people. That was all I knew that I wanted to do. And so I stuck with that, and I held on to that. And for the remainder of my college years until I got my first job, I ended up getting into the space of helping people. I literally went into nonprofit. And as I got into nonprofit, I started at what I would consider to be the entry point, which is social services. Mm-hmm. So I literally was sitting across from homeless individuals, helping them get government assistance programs. That was me helping people, right? And so my career continued on, and I continued through the workforce. I would get promotion, and then I kind of went from that part of nonprofit to more on the fundraising side, actually raising money and speaking about the people that need the help the most. So I had the opportunity to speak to audiences and crowds of people who were not necessarily homeless, but were able to be beneficiaries and help those individuals, right? Still helping people out. And everything's going well. I started a nonprofit, like I mentioned. That's how John and I got started and met each other. And I'm still in the life of helping people, because that's what I said I wanted to do 4, 5, 6 years before now, right? Presence of mind to say I want to help people. That's what I wanted to do, and the feeling that I had, but I did not have any other thought except that's all I knew that I wanted to do. So I finished my master's. So now I guess I'm entering into phase 3. And I said, well, this is cool. Everything's going okay, but I want some money. That's what I said. I said, I want some money. So I finished my master's and I said, I need to learn how to make money. So I started listening to all these podcasts and learning all this stuff about entrepreneurship. And I didn't really know what I was doing, except I said, I want to make money. And so I began to start to learn about entrepreneurship and I began to open my first business. As I opened my first business, I learned how to make money, but I was not helping people anymore. So I was not present in that process. Also, entering into phase 3, I began to start a doctorate program. So I started a doctoral program at Texas Southern University. And I did about 1.5 years. I finished all my coursework and then I became ABD. Have you ever heard of ABD? People in the Zoom, do you know what ABD means? When it comes to doctoral work, anything or everything but dissertation. So I did all of my coursework except the dissertation. I stopped. I had too much going on. I had all these ideas, all these things I wanted to do, but I was not really being present. I just had ideas and things that I really wanted to do. And so as I had all these things I was juggling, I had a nonprofit, I had a job, I had business ideas, and I'm learning all this stuff in a doctoral program. Oh, and I didn't mention that I just got married. So I had all of this going on and I had to stop. I had to stop something. So I quit the doctoral program. And for those that know me for a very long time, I never quit anything. That's just not in my nature. Quitting what? No, I'm gonna do this, right? But I just had to. And the only thing that I leaned on in that time that made sense to me, that was able to allow me to get back to where I am today, was meditation. Meditation. That was my saving grace. And what I didn't know is John was doing the same thing. We were both seeking the same things and never had one conversation about meditation until we met up again and said, yeah, I've been getting into this practice and I've been doing this and I've been doing that. Oh, you've been what? Been meditating? Yeah, me too. Really? Wow. Total different ways of how we found it, but 2 different saving graces for ourselves, right? And so the power of meditation is not just like this, guru style, like mantra. It really can help you see the vision that you really are trying to create for your life. So when you're in phase 3, you see on the screen, we have other ways that you could be in this phase. You could be like, I just need to figure it out. Have you ever just said, I just need to figure it out? You don't even really know what that means, but this ain't it. Like, this not it. Math ain't math. This is a job. This is not a career. I need to figure it out. And when I say that about job and career, what I don't want you to think is that a job is not a good thing, because jobs can open doors for you to get to your career. So don't say that I said you need to quit your job. That's what I said. It's like, what did Beyonce say? Quit your job. Quit your job. I didn't say that. I did not say that. That is not a good idea. But when you're in this figure it out phase, sometimes you just really don't know. And you start, some people, I've even been a person who just went and, said, I'm gonna just go back to school for different reasons and different things, just trying to figure it out. So at the end of my phase 3, I got to a place where I felt like I was getting back on my feet and I was able to recover from quitting a doctoral program. I think I was more emotionally disturbed and hurt that I quit, because I can't believe I quit. Family, how's it going? Are you gonna do it again? Why did you quit? All these questions, and it's just like, hey, that's my thing. I can't explain to you what happened, but I know that I needed to do that for me, right? And so I quit the doctoral program. I'm entering kind of into phase 4 at this point. And so I told you I had a master's degree. I was getting ready to go back for a second master's. And the same person, this is how meditation works. The same, because you get to see the clarity. The same person that asked me, what are you going to do when you graduate high school? What are you going to do? And I said, I want to help people. That same person asked me, why are you getting a second master's? Are you running from the doctoral program? And I said, yes. Like, how did you know that? You're the only person I would tell that to, to be honest and say, yes, I am. And he asked me, he said, Tony, if you were to go back and get your doctorate and finish that, and you could do anything in the world, like with what you're currently doing, which is what I do today, he said, what would you, where would you do? Where would you go? I don't know. I'm all frustrated and I can't believe he called me out in this one-on-one conversation with nobody else around. So I just Googled a few things, that I was doing for my career and things I'm into and stuff like that. And I found one program that the first program, I didn't find one program, it was multiple programs. The very first program I Googled, I said, if this don't work, then I'm not doing this doctorate program because I'm just not doing it. Googled it, clicked it, applied, got in. And I can't even believe that someone from the east side of Houston, Texas, born in Fifth Ward, is in a doctoral program at the University of Southern California.
Oh,
I am 3 semesters from graduating.
nice.
I am no longer anything but dissertation. I just
Right.
submitted my first chapter. So I'm past the hump, right? But I'm telling you, it would not be that if it was not for the power of meditation, being still and making selective choices. Because when you're able to be that still, what will happen is the things that aren't for you, you can see them clearly. You're like, that's not for me. But you know, some people say, no, it's really for you. They're trying to sell you this thing. But when you really are like calm in your spirit and you don't have all the anxiety and everything, you can just be like, no, it's literally not for me. Like I can see what's for me and this is not. So when you're going through your career process, understand that there will be times where you may have to like really realize, pause, pivot, restart, regroup, and that's okay. Your bosses and directors and leaders and CEOs and deans, all these people that we look up to have all had to do it. They did not just end up where they are, they made choices, and you can do the same.
I mean, thank you for sharing that story, man, and you know, I'm really happy to be a part of it. And the thing that I was going through at the time, like my path was very different, but we ended up at the same place with the same catalyst. Now, you know, when he wanted to help people, I wanted to make money. So
Fair.
so right from the gate, and that was, you know, that's what drove me towards what people told me were the best programs for me to make the most money. So I had dual bachelor's degrees in engineering and finance. And it was towards, you know, alternative energy focus, but then I ended up working for ExxonMobil for the past, you know, the decade before I started where I'm at now. And because so I had made it, right? I was making great money. I got there, but it wasn't like heart centered for what I actually wanted to do. And so that part for me, so phase 1 and 2, I just took you through. Phase 3 for me, talk about meditation finding you. I went to one yoga class, January of 2017, and I taught my first class in January 2018. So 500 hours of yoga teacher training was when I took my pause. When phase 3 happened for me, and I thought about what is the next step that I want to take? Is it more education? Is it a different career? What do I want to do? And so 2018 was the year that I formed Humessence LLC. So my organization, Humessence, was built around culture change. So the way that we were experiencing at ExxonMobil was, you know, them trying to change the culture of the organization. And I was like, that's not happening. So how do we do that? The science of behavior change. So now I'm a 4-time certified coach. I have my own organization with 4 other coaches and another supporting staff, and I left ExxonMobil in the beginning of 2021. So that sounds like all dandy, but I'll tell you what, that phase 3 to 4 is gritty. You know, changing careers to a completely different field, you know, outside of engineering and finance into coaching and helping people. So in positive psychology was a massive change, but it was heart centered. It was centered around what I really wanted to do, and that was serve. So all of that to say, to land the rocket ship, the other thing that's also highlighted on this slide is like understanding where you want that rocket ship to land. But then not being attached to how it gets there.
Right.
So it may get weird. It may get messy. But like, if you know you have your sights set on where you want that ship to land, you will end up in a place that is suited for that rocket ship. Now, that's another reason why we talked about how you want to feel, right? Because where you want that rocket ship to land, there are feelings associated with it. When I have this, I will feel. Right? That's the reason we want money. It's not for money. It's for the feeling that it can provide. Right? We want a partner, we want a job, we want fulfillment, satisfaction. But it's really that the way that our bodies feel when we have that is what we want. So now, when you have that vision and you can bring those feelings into your present moment, that's when the law of attraction starts happening. That's when these coincidences pop up in your career. And that's when you can make decisions aligned with how you want to feel and where you want to be. So let's spend a little bit of time on that. We're going to come back to a seat. And we're going to come back to a seat. We're going to take another moment. I'll put on some background music again. Now, this meditation exercise is a little different here. Now, the last exercise, we had our attention in the present moment. But this exercise, you can, again, close your eyes or fix your gaze to one point. But we're going to move from this moment and into where you want that rocket ship to land and what that really looks like. So find stillness. Again, options to gently close your eyes or fix your gaze. And take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. And start to let your breath become natural. And then from this moment, you visualize yourself shaking free of this body, shifting up and out of this room, up to the sky, to the atmosphere. You're seeing this building from up top, shifting higher and higher until you see the US, North America, and the globe. Now you're here seeing this moment. And then shifting as you return back to where you want your ship to land. Making your way back down to where you want to land in the world. The continent, the country, the state, the city. Right where you land in your desired future. And allow the time period that works for you to be where you land. 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. What's happening in your life? Who is around you? Where are you in your world? What do you do every day? you serving? Helping? What are you fixing? What are you creating? All options are open. And no matter where you are, you have all of the resources that you need exactly how you want to contribute with all the skills that you need, the support system that you need. What else do you see around you? Are you in an office? Are you outside? Pick up other qualities of this moment. What do you hear, see, smell? Most of all, how do you feel? With everything that you need to create what you want to create, to contribute in the fullest way possible, to genuinely connect with all the people you interact with. You are supported. You are fulfilled. You are productive. You are creative. You are connected. And take one last look around to take that all in. Many small details of your surroundings, of your feelings. And gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring small movements back to your fingers and your toes. Back to this moment. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. And I feel like coming out of a meditation in a group space, it's just like, just looking at everyone's face, like, ah, what was that? It's so nice. Now, no matter what came up for you, like where you saw yourself in your future, it's like, if that wasn't perfect, to notice right now if you're judging it, like, oh, I couldn't see what I wanted to see. I don't know how I feel about it, where I was, what's happening. Let that go. But maybe there was a piece of it. Maybe there was a piece of it that you can jot down that you don't want to forget. Something where you want your ship to land. But most of all, how you'll feel when you get there. Now, we're back to where we started.
And so, same question, right? How do you want to feel in your career every day? You had an opportunity to visualize that. We talked about it in the beginning, with a one-word answers. But now let's paint the picture a little bit and make it a little more colorful. What's a day in a life feel like? What's a day in a life look like? What would you describe that day is? I know for me, when I transitioned out of the confusion or the mindful side that I was in back to where I am today, I knew that still wanted to help people, and I wanted to just do it in a different kind of fashion. I wanted to do it where I'm able to help an organization become more efficient, become more proficient, become a place where people love to show up, not a place where people come to work and they feel drained and they don't feel like themselves. When I said job equals just over broke, it's not just broke financially. I'm talking about you could be broken as a person. Your spirit can be broke showing up to a place where you don't want to be. And if I can be a champion for that, that's what meant a lot to me. So for you, same question. How would you describe a day in the life after you've completed these 2 meditations and you think about your future career or even your current career? You can put in the chat and we'll text some as we are here in the room.
Well, now, let's give everyone like 5 minutes to actually start putting pen to paper. And what you saw in your visualization meditation, where you want your ship to land, like start describing that day in the life. Like, what does that really look like? So let's give everyone, we'll call it 3 minutes. 3 minutes. We'll switch up the music a little bit. Yeah.
I didn't.
I know.
Deontay. Yeah.
Deontay is taking care of it. I saw it. Yeah. Yeah, one person said they needed some more time, like, this is a practice.
But then they put, I can't get away with this laptop in the money. Shake my head.
High spirited.
Hello, come on in. Oh, we have plenty in the back right here. Oh, right there, yes. Need a pencil? Okay.
That's right. Right. Looks like pens have stopped moving. So who wants to share? What have you like learned, discovered, or experienced like through that exercise? Thoughts, please.
So I actually do this part quite often, so I didn't realize it had a name for it. So I have an office. I have 3 assistants. I have a full-time assistant, 2 part-time assistants. The 2 part-timers are college students. Roughly I want to work like 9 to 4. So
Okay,
between like 4 and 6, once all the students are out, they can come to the office and then I can teach them all about the financial literacy part of life, everything that school don't teach you that I wish they would have taught us.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I wanna start off private or start off at a company and then work my way into the private of my own business, or if I wanna take the company's money and do it,
Okay,
they're gonna pay me more. So use their money to fund my teaching project, so that's what I wanna do.
okay.
That's my goal.
Are you in office? Are you remote? What's going on?
I will be working here at, what's it called? The College of Public Service. I'll be the administrative assistant. However, I was a banker. I was a teller for about 2.5 years. And so if I do go back into banking and the financial advising, I'll probably go there. If I was to go back into like a company, because no bank can compare to where I was at.
So with your 3 assistants, where are you there? Are you in an office space or are you?
Oh, yes, yes. With the assistants, I want to be in my own office.
Mhm.
So they don't have to worry about, oh, would I have to do this? I will be more, I guess I will be more, what is it called? Adjusting to them, accommodating, that's the word. I'll be more accommodating to their schedule because I know what it was like to work and go to school. So if any of their classes, they have a test or something, I'll be like, okay, that's fine, go ahead, we'll have this covered. Which is why I want a full-time assistant as well, so they won't be like overworked and always overwhelmed, so that's my plan.
Mhm. All right. Thank you for sharing. What do we got in the chat? Let's see. Anyone else in the room want to share about your experience? What you write down? You want to put your vision out there into the world?
I feel like my vision goes against what we just talked about. Cause for me, I wanna be a teacher, and so I imagine myself outside of the school, exhausted, tired, but happy, like. I did what I came to do that day, which is like teach kids and make sure that they learn something that day.
Yeah, it's interesting
Need more
that,
teachers.
it's interesting that like we can't, that the association of like exhaustion has to be associated with something bad. But you can also be exhausted from giving your heart to what you love. Like that's, yeah, I think that's a beautiful visualization.
Yeah, I agree. Think of yourself as an athlete. I mean, what athlete doesn't finish a game tired, right? You go into that school every day and you're giving it your all. It's amazing.
Mhm.
One more? One last brave soul.
In the chat, we had, content and mentally stable. I've worked at good paying jobs, but I would feel drained and mentally unstable going into my career. My main priority to my career is the environment, growth, and stability.
Mhm.
That's important.
Yeah, and I guess whoever put that in the chat, I would say, what environment? What kind of environment? What does stability mean to you? Like specifically, is it a certain amount of money? Is it job stability? Is it tenure? Is it like the more specific you get into what you want that to look like, the more you're able to make choices that align with where you want to go.
I have to start
Might
meditating.
meditate,
Definitely,
So
That's one thing you get from it then.
yeah.
we have 3 minutes left. I think this would be a perfect pivot to Q&A. So we'll leave the floor open and ask for you who are with us virtually and anyone in the room to leave us with some questions that maybe we can answer. Did you have something?
I did have a question. So some of our students are student workers, some are full-time employees, part-time employees somewhere. So with creating that space, there also comes a level of advocating for self in your work environment. How is that implemented with meditating? How do you carve out that time and letting it be known that I need to take some time for myself? And when you do that,
Take that one.
We can both go.
Advocating for yourself.
Mhm.
Now, it depends. So there's one thing that's boundaries, right? Are you setting, do you have boundaries? Right? So a lot of times my coaching clients that don't have time for themselves are saying yes to everything. And then typically when you're saying yes to everything, you're saying no to yourself. Right? And so that's usually the first thing that we talk about is, what boundaries are established. And those don't have to be boundaries set in anger but it's actually a sign of respect for yourself and for the person asking for it. It actually increases the value of what you're able to provide if you're more selective with what you say yes to. So that would be the first thing I would think about is, if you're or how are you setting boundaries and not advocating for your time?
Yeah, and I would add that you start your day how you finish it. So you control that boundary space first with how you start your day in the morning. So in the morning, that's your time. Before you leave your house, that's your time. So you use that time to get yourself together. You use that time to meditate, pray, or whatever you have to do to prepare yourself for the day. Because sometimes we'll get to work and we cannot control our schedules, but we can control how we started our day. And if you show up to your place of work in peace and you've already done all the things you need to do, it's easier, or it's less likely that your spirit will be disturbed because you've already done the work before you got there. And if you create a rhythm of practice, then you will be stronger and stronger every day you show up.
Thank you.
So
We have
raise his hands. Yep.
we have a question in the chat. Asmin asks, was there ever a time in your life that you felt uncertain or unconfident of your future due to financial/environmental circumstances? How did you overcome that doubt?
Great question.
That is a great question. Yes, there have been several times. I'll go, so the first one was, coming out into the university in the first place. And, my family, there was no paying for college. So it was either you get loans or get a scholarship. Thankfully, I did end up getting a scholarship, and that's what helped pave my way through undergraduate. And with that came a lot of stress of what you need to do to keep that scholarship, right, to maintain that. And so I'd say that, that was, working hard. It was being focused and disciplined and consistent. So, and if say the place of, financial hardship there, and now to give you a specific example, it's like that consistency. It was sitting down to apply for scholarships every day of that, of that year, even if it was just 15-20 minutes a day. 15-20 minutes a day over an entire year is a lot of work, right? So I would say the same thing happened for me coming out of undergrad, where again, I had no money. So I sat down and I would put a slash mark on a calendar. I had a big year in view dry erase calendar in my room. And every day that I did something toward the career or job that I wanted, I would put a slash mark. And once you do that every day, you don't want to break the streak. So that's what I was doing. Information session, applying online, something every single day. And then I was going for interviews 3 or 4 times a week because of the consistency. So I feel like when I felt the financial hardship coming on more was when I became even more focused, dedicated to that consistency. And I'd say the same thing happened when I changed careers here. Like starting my own business it's very rocky road at first. Like going from making good money to making none to start. And really like using savings to fund that. Right, but then again, it was looking at that, okay, what can I do consistently to improve? So I guess my advice there would be take the smallest way that you can step forward every single day and apply that, even if it's in the smallest way.
Thank you.
And I'll add, just kind of working in the environment of social services and seeing a lot of different life circumstances. I say that, sometimes you have to get a second job, sometimes even a third side hustle just to make it because it's
Right.
expensive. Houston is one of the more expensive cities now just off of rent, when you compare to many of our metropolitan same size cities. And so sometimes it's just literally not fair. Like, why is rent $2,000, right? Like just that part alone. And so I think that what you can do, I'll never forget when I was in college, there was this guy, he worked at Einstein Bagel Shop. You familiar with Einstein Bagel? I used to get the cinnamon bagel. And so, man, he would show up to Einstein with his Einstein hat on, and he just had the best energy. He had the best energy. And someone told me, they said, people like that, they're the ones that'll take that same energy and be the boss at a Fortune 500 company one day, because they have that energy when they're whatever job it is. And so if you bring that energy and you don't let the life circumstances wear you down when you show up to work and you're actually that person that people say, I never knew you were going through this, or I never knew you were going through that. That momentum and energy will literally like catapult you to places that you can't imagine, and may even connect you to people that can take you from where you are to where you really want to be. But if you show up with that cloud over you, it shows, and it shows in your energy. So I would say, no matter the financial circumstances, if you got to work twice as hard, get a second job, whatever it may be, just do it with a good spirit and a good heart and a good attitude, and have the faith that you'll get to where you want to get to one day.
Thank you. Y'all have room for one more question.
Yeah.
Of course.
Deontay?
Thank you. We have a question from Antoinette Mosley. She asks, other than meditating, what other practices can help with being present?
Wow. Well, I'd say that movement, definitely. So, yoga for me is a moving meditation, right? So, I would consider that a daily meditation and when I practice yoga. Now, I have clients that their daily meditation is going to the gym, but being present, like not thinking about the presentation or test that you have while you're in the gym, but feeling your body when you're at the gym. Now that's the difference between like a meditative activity is like, are you noticing where you're at, the feelings of that moment, right? So you can take that to everything that you do and be able to apply that. Like I mentioned before, with eating, with walking, being in nature, things like that, like where you can. So that's another thing that I don't want to just skip over is like connecting with nature, like going for a walk through the park. But again, not being on Instagram when you're walking through the park, but like taking in the smells. What do you see? What's your experience like? So that would be, I guess that would be what I'd say. Connecting with nature and yoga would be my 2 things of movement and, and nature. But then really you can apply meditative practice to almost everything that you do.
Yeah. And, to be present, like we're talking about, sometimes you got to recognize and be honest with yourself about what you're doing that's causing you not to be present. So I would suggest like make a T-chart something I've done before. And write out, all the things you wish you were doing, all the things you wish you were, all the things like, I wish I meditated, I wish I did this, or I wish I did, like literally just list it out. And then on the other side, list out all the things that you're doing that you really shouldn't be doing, or all the things that you feel may be holding you back from becoming the person on the left side of the T chart. And you start walking towards that, and then that'll create a new rhythm for you, a new daily practice, because you're trying to eliminate these habits over here to create space for the other ones. Me personally, I like running. That's big for me. And then like not just running, but like running without music, like running and just listening to nature, kind of like what John was just saying, just being outside. And it's like, not being outside with my devices, but just being outside with nothing but my keys. It sounds scary, but in the 90s, they used to do that. So, you can literally create new habits for yourself that will literally change who you become and who you are. But it's important to recognize and be honest with at least yourself to say, all right, yeah, I probably should stop doing this if I want to become this. Because what they always tell you is you can't take who you are today and get to where you want to be. Like what got you here won't take you there. And that matters regardless of where you are and what you want to do in your life.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, John and Tony.
We appreciate it. And then, so this little QR code here will take you to a feedback survey. We'd love to hear, what you all thought about the experience, and, any feedback that we can take is always going to be incorporated into these things going forward. So we'd love to come back with different topics and interact with you guys. And thank you all for being so engaged and willing to participate now, and let's later.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much. For our online audience, if y'all are able to scan the QR code, please do so. Please take a screenshot of John and Tony's information. We will be sharing this with you again. But that is it. That is all. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you on the 30th on the 17th for our workshop, gearing into finals, and on the 30th for our November program meeting. Bye.
Quick question. What if we couldn't log in with Canvas, or what if we had to go through Zoom?
No worries, we got you. We're checking students in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks everyone online.
Thank you.
Yes.
Also, just make sure that if you weren't able to log in with your stuff, if your first and last name were not present on the Zoom, you can just send me an email. I'll make sure that we get you checked in.
Sounds good. Thank you.